We had moved in 3 months ago. On an early Sunday morning, suddenly, my older brother, Liam, came over to our place.
We submitted our marriage registration yesterday. We've officially become a married couple. Today, we have something to discuss with Blossom, so we came all the way here.
With a grin on his face, my brother looked at me. I had a bad feeling about this. I wonder what kind of conversation this could be.
Hey, how long are you planning to stay here? Get out, you slacker parasite. Huh? You're a nuisance.
Liam's wife, Mia, stood in front of me and suddenly started berating me. She threw extremely harsh words at me. I was taken aback and stood there, mouth agape in shock, when...
How long do you plan to keep living off your parents' support? Aren't you going to become independent already? You're not sick anymore, are you? Come on, get out of here right now.
Saying this, she threw a suitcase in front of me. I'm a 32-year-old remote worker, still unfortunately unmarried, living with both of my parents. For me, remaining single like this is not a problem at all. My name is Blossom, given to me by my parents with the hope that I would grow up to be a girl with the beauty and elegance of cherry blossoms, possessing a pure heart. But, far from beauty and elegance, I've been frail since childhood. Until I graduated middle school, I had been in and out of hospitals. If I went out thinking I was feeling well, a high fever came on quickly. I couldn't play outside with everyone, and I'd get tired easily no matter what I did. I was the typical sickly child. A past I don't want to remember much. Each time I was hospitalized, my parents took turns accompanying me, kindly caring for me. Worried about my mother accompanying me, my father would take time off work to be with me too. Now, we talk about our many memories, but at the time, my parents must have lived very busy days because of me. Still, I remember feeling very reassured when I saw my parents' gentle smiles. I have an older brother, Liam, who is 2 years older than me. Until he entered elementary school, my parents took turns accompanying me to the hospital, so he must have felt quite lonely when I was young. Even when he went to school, he was given a key, and naturally, he often stayed home alone until late at night. When my father came home late from work, there were times when he went to the supermarket by himself and bought and ate boxed lunches. Even when I was small, I have memories of thinking,
poor Liam.
Eventually, my brother began to worry that he wasn't loved by our parents. He started feeling jealous of me, who was monopolizing our parents. Of course, I didn't intend to monopolize them, but it's not strange for a child, in the stage of needing parents, to think that way.
Why is it always Blossom, who's treated so well by mom and dad? I feel lonely every day. There are nurses at the hospital, so you don't need someone to accompany you. Hurry up and come back home.
My brother made that complaint when he was in the early grades of elementary school, I heard. My mother shed tears upon hearing those words. However, at that time, I had just entered kindergarten, and in the hospital where I was hospitalized, parents had to accompany their children until they entered elementary school. Even though my parents had to accompany me while worrying about my brother, I believe they genuinely felt sorry for him. But my elementary school-aged brother wouldn't have been able to understand such reasons, and having grown up feeling lonely, his personality gradually transformed into a twisted one, and he began saying terrible things to me constantly.
Blossom, you're actually fine, but you're pretending to be sick on purpose. You're just trying to get the attention of mom and dad by pretending to be seriously ill, right? It's okay for you because if you pretend to be weak, you can monopolize our parents. Liam, that's mean. I want to play with you and be energetic together. I want to go to school with everyone.
Even though I never thought that being hospitalized was enjoyable, it seems my brother had convinced himself that I was using a fake illness to gain our parents' attention. After I entered elementary school, parental accompaniment was no longer necessary, so there should have been time for Liam and our parents to spend together by themselves. However, the dissatisfaction that he accumulated was never resolved. Without reconciling with my brother, I managed to safely enter junior high school. But because of being frequently ill, I couldn't attend school much, so I couldn't fit in with my class and couldn't even enter the circles of friends typical of teenage girls.
Are you telling me that you, a junior high school student, don't even have friends? Pathetic. But seeing your pathetic state makes me feel somewhat relieved. You've been pampered so much up until now, so you deserve this outcome.
Every day, I heard such hurtful remarks from my brother. I found it more painful to be verbally abused by my own family, by my brother, than being alone, at home or in the hospital. I remained in such a relationship with my brother when the time came to decide my path after junior high school. Unable to adapt to school life, and without friends, I decided to work from home without attending high school, taking on various jobs as a freelancer. Due to the prolonged hospital stays, I had read and studied nearly 200 books, gaining knowledge through self-learning. I believed this knowledge could be put to use in my work-from-home endeavors. It was a decision I had been struggling with alone for a long time. While my parents weren't thrilled about my decision to forego high school, after I persistently persuaded them, my father said, "If Blossom is saying that much,
then give it your best shot. But just because you'll be living at home doesn't mean you should rely on us too much. Be strict on yourself."
My father spoke these words, while my mother, with her naturally gentle nature, believed in decisions I made, whether for myself or my brother. She never argued against them. However, my brother was different.
You're dropping out after junior high? Are there really people these days who only finish junior high and work? Are you kidding? It's embarrassing to have a sister who only finished junior high. Cut me some slack, will you?
He berated me, but that didn't matter. I disregarded his words and pressed on, desperately following what I believed. I realized that this job was a good fit for me, and I started earning more and more. Clients referred new clients to me, and gradually, I built up a customer base. Although I never told my brother, my parents told me that I was the reason they could afford to support my brother's university, tuition and living expenses. He had never worked during his 4 years at university and had a carefree life, graduating from a local university and joining a small, unknown company. Despite revealing himself as pathetic by constantly asking for money and taking all the groceries from the fridge whenever he returned home, he was ecstatic about his job. Even though he had witnessed me working hard and financially supporting him, he belittled me greatly, saying, "I'll be graduating from university."
But you only finished junior high. Living off your parents, just sitting in front of your computer, earning some pocket change. When dad's gone, you won't be able to do anything.
Due to the monthly allowance being $800 during his university years, he seemed to think our father was quite wealthy. Despite most of the students around him working part-time to earn pocket money, he received $800 without doing anything. Mother was worried about his future and said,
"Wouldn't it be better to tell Liam that Blossom has been working hard and supporting him financially? He doesn't know anything about what she's doing. Let's talk to him soon."
Father had thought the same, but he seemed to have missed the right timing. Although Liam had graduated from university, he had spent 4 years in an easygoing way. I felt that he would face difficulties once he entered the workforce. After he got a job, he stopped coming home, and the 3 of us spent peaceful days together as a family. Before I knew it, I had also crossed the age of 30. Thanks to my growing achievements, new opportunities were steadily increasing, and I was leading a comfortable life without any worries. Just then, the region where we lived was hit by an earthquake, and our home, which was over 35 years old, suffered significant damage as well. Due to continuous aftershocks, we were forced to live in an evacuation center for about a week. After returning home, I found the house leaning, with numerous cracks in the walls. It seemed like it could collapse at any moment. Our belongings were scattered and broken, making our home look like ruins.
It's impossible to live here anymore. It's dangerous. Well, we got good use out of our old house, so it can't be helped.
My mother muttered sadly.
It was a house filled with so many memories, but there's no other choice.
My father seemed quite shocked as well. There were talks about renovations, but my parents were about to turn 70 soon, and it seemed difficult to secure a loan.
Well then, how about living in a condominium? A high-rise condo. I'd been thinking about it for a while. I was sure both Mom and Dad would love it. There's even a resident-exclusive hot spring. High-rise condo?
Actually, I had an interest in high-rise condos. And I had been researching various properties, with the idea of eventually living with my parents. Catering to the elderly, well-lit, comfortable rooms, that's what I looked for. As I showed photos on my smartphone,
Why not arrange a viewing for tomorrow? You know what they say, don't delay good deeds.
my parents looked surprised and puzzled, but as they listened to my explanation, they gradually became intrigued. The next day, we headed to the condo. My parents were taken aback, but at the same time, their eyes were gleaming with excitement.
This is incredible. It's like a luxurious hotel. And it comes with a hot spring, sauna, and even a library, exclusively for residents. Isn't that great? Being able to read books in an environment like this every day.
Certainly, my parents seemed to like this condo. But soon, my father's expression turned gloomy.
However, it costs money, right? I'm already at this age. I can't receive loans or anything. Buying it is out of the question. It's like a dream property. Just being able to see it was enjoyable,
He said a little sadly. Of course, I had no intention of having my parents pay for this. If they liked it here, that's all that mattered. Both of them were certainly surprised, but they had gone to great lengths for me, who had been physically weak. They repeatedly bowed their heads, took time off work to accompany me to the hospital, and supported me with all their might. So, I naturally thought that returning the favor to that extent was only right. After that, I bought the $800,000 high-rise condo, moved, and lived happily with my parents as a family of 3. Seeing my parents' peaceful smiles, I also felt happy. I wanted to continue spending peaceful times like this, but 2 years after moving into the condo, I suddenly received a call from Liam. He said he was getting married and wanted to introduce his girlfriend to our mother. Mother had been trying to tell my brother about the move, and she had been calling him repeatedly, but he never answered. And now, it seemed too convenient. Still, reluctantly, we decided to invite my brother and his fiancée to the condo.
Wow, so this is a high-rise condo? But if I had a choice, I might have wanted to see the view from the top floor. I've heard stories, but Dad, you're quite wealthy.
Mia started talking about money. Without much introduction. It was an odd conversation for a first meeting. She was a very peculiar woman. By the way, she is 35 years younger than Liam. Learning her age and observing her behavior and lack of manners surprised me all over again. The two of them are planning to get married next month, and they'll be setting up a new home. The wedding ceremony is expected to be held sometime next year or later, they happily shared. And then, my brother introduced me to Mia.
And here's the famous slacker, already 32 years old, still mooching off our parents. Don't you think that's the worst? Well, I guess we won't have anything to do with this person.
What an unbelievable way of speaking. Mia, on the other hand, gave me a thorough, condescending look from head to toe.
Wow, you really look like a slacker. It wasn't just a made-up story, huh? You're like a slacker parasite. It's really a pity for your dad and mom.
my brother and Mia continued to mock me, from start to finish. I was astonished and didn't feel like saying anything, but who was even more astonished than me was my parents. Both of them were holding their heads in their hands, sighing deeply. Afterward, my brother and Mia firmly demanded a wedding gift and left. While their visit left us feeling down for a while, as we continued our daily life, that feeling gradually disappeared. And so, we were living just like before. 3 months had passed. One early Sunday morning, my brother suddenly showed up at our place.
We submitted our marriage registration yesterday, and we're officially married now. Today, we have something to discuss with Blossom, so we came all this way.
My brother was grinning at me while he spoke. I had a bad feeling about this. What kind of conversation could it be?
Hey, how long do you plan to stay here? Get out, you slacker parasite. Huh? You're a nuisance.
Mia stood in front of me and suddenly started berating me. I was hit with such terrible words. I stood there, dumbfounded, with my mouth gaping. And then, still standing there, I heard,
"How long do you plan to keep leeching off our parents? Get a grip on your life already. You're not sick or anything anymore, right? Come on, get out of here right now."
Saying that, my brother threw a suitcase in front of me. My parents and I were just stunned, unable to comprehend the situation. However, one thing was clear: my brother and his wife wanted me out of this house. That was the one thing that I understood. Little did they know that I was the one who bought this high-rise condo. Without even realizing that, they called me a slacker parasite and drove me away from home.
Hey, what are you standing there with that blank stare for? Get out, you're in the way.
Filled with sarcasm, he glared at me, and the next moment, the doorbell rang again, and for some reason, Mia rushed to the front door. As I looked around, I saw moving boxes being carried in one after another by movers.
Look, slacker parasite, you're a nuisance. All right, I'll leave. Isn't that what you want? But if I'm going to leave here, sign this document. Our newlywed life is going to start in this high-rise condo.
After hearing my words that I'm leaving, both my brother and Mia seemed satisfied, and without even checking the contents of the documents I handed over, they started signing one after another.
With this high-rise condo is in my name.
My brother, all excited, thought he owned the condominium under his name, and he was in high spirits. Quite delusional. Afterward, I packed my belongings and decided to leave the house. Taking advantage of my brother's and his wife's festive mood, I whispered to my mother, who was looking at me worriedly. She nodded slightly and said, "I understand." For now, I left the condo, but I intended to make my brother and his wife experience hell. I will never forgive them. A month had passed since then. I received a call from my brother, his voice sounding almost on the verge of tears.
What's up, Liam? Things have taken a turn for the worse. Dad and Mom went on a trip, and they haven't come back. A trip? Oh, that's just an excuse to escape from there, right? Because Dad and Mom are with me. Huh?
My brother seemed quite surprised. Well, he should be. Most likely, they ran out of money, and that's why he contacted me.
You know what? Dad's account was seized, and I secretly checked his bank book, but there's no money in there. This condo should have been bought by Dad, but something's not right.
As I thought, my brother and his wife didn't understand anything. They probably thought Dad was rich. Even though I've been supporting my parents for decades, they didn't even notice that. How self-centered can they be?
Liam, you really don't get it. It wasn't Dad who bought the $800,000 high-rise condo in one go, it was me. It's plain to see if you think about it, right? Dad, who's about to turn 70, can't possibly take out a loan. What? What are you talking about? Why would you be able to buy a high-rise condo? You're just a slacker. Cut the crap already, seriously. Why don't you tell us how much you're really earning with your freelancing?
From the sound of his voice, my brother was clearly shaken. He must have passed the phone to Mia, who was next to him.
Hey, aren't you a slacker? This is different from what I heard. And on top of that, you want to charge us rent as soon as you move out. Unbelievable for family.
Family? I can't believe what I'm hearing. They treated me like a parasite, kicked me out of the condo.
Well, even if you say that, the documents have been signed. Too bad for you. By the way, my current monthly income is around $24,000. It varies from month to month. But even after turning 30, I'm trying to save without overexerting.
My brother and his wife panicked upon hearing my words. Kicking me out of the condo has led to them having to pay rent, facing foreclosure. They were in a pathetic state.
If you're earning that much, you don't need to take rent from us, right? How stingy can you be? Could you at least think about the family a little and offer a rent discount?
Mia spoke in a trembling voice that seemed about to burst into tears. Thinking about her usual mean expression, I struggled to hold back laughter.
Listen, why don't we all discuss this as a family and figure out the best solution? Living together here might be the best option. It's definitely better that way. Huh? Cohabitation?
My brother proposed a reconciliation, but why should I agree to something like that? After being kicked out, there's no way I would accept it.
Liam, you're saying pretty flattering things, but I won't go along with that.
I said that much, and then my father, who had been silent, suddenly snatched the phone.
Liam, enough is enough. Up until now, Blossom paid for your university tuition and sent you $800 every month. After graduating, I told you properly. But now she's a slacker? A parasite? Don't mess around.
Father scolded my brother with a force that was unusual for him. Normally quiet and reserved, he rarely expressed his opinions. But now he shouted so vehemently that my brother, who had been acting tough, was visibly intimidated.
Dad, please don't say that kind of thing. We barely managed to gather enough money to move here. There's no way we could afford the moving expenses. Please, help us.
As my brother sobbed like a child, I said,
Anyway, if you can't pay rent, you need to vacate the condo immediately. If you don't leave, you'll receive a notice of wage garnishment from your company. Wha? Please don't do that. We promise to move out right away.
According to later conversations, it seems my brother had accrued substantial debts at his workplace as well. Apparently, he had been caught misusing business trip funds for personal use, and he managed to avoid getting fired by begging and apologizing. Now, his salary is deposited after deducting repayment amounts, leaving him with a mere $560 per month. Well, for someone like that, living in a luxury high-rise condominium is simply out of the question.
All right then, move out by the end of this month. If you're even a day late, I'll report it to your company through a lawyer.
As I made this threat, my brother and his wife hastily fled from the condo. For the past month, we had been living in a business hotel, but we were finally able to return to our own home. After arranging for a cleaning crew to tidy up the place and changing the locks, we ensured that those two would never set foot in our house again. Following this incident, my brother and his wife, having experienced the best, found themselves unprepared to live in a rundown apartment. Apparently, they had searched for a somewhat upscale apartment with higher rent, but it seemed they were rejected from all the places they applied to. Well, that's only natural. They ended up renting an apartment that seemed on the verge of collapsing. I heard it had drafty windows in the winter and would likely be infested with bugs in the summer. I just hope the two of them work together and manage to escape that place quickly. As for us, the three of us returned to our peaceful life as a family. My work was going well, and we didn't have to worry about our livelihood. I hoped my parents could enjoy their time from now on, so I was considering taking on a bit more work and saving up. I want to continue being a dutiful child and taking care of them in the future.